Fantastic. Well, it's great to see everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We were excited to see the global interest for the call. Of course, we want to make it as global as we can. And so we will have now a start of the virtual information session for the SMJ Special Issue on Chance, Luck, and Serendipity in Management and Strategy, a topic very close to our hearts. And I know that quite a few in the audience also have a very personal interest in those kind of themes. What we'd love to do today is three things. First, we'll do an introduction to the special issue. Then we'll address your questions that were submitted before the call, and then we will talk about next steps. Now, the editors for this special issue, the guest editors, we have Gino Cattani and Christina Fang from New York University. We have Violina Rindova from the UC Irvine, and my name is Christian Busch from the University of Southern California. The SMJ advising editor is Brian Silverman, and then we have Cobretti Williams and his team, who is supporting this fantastically, pulling the strings in the background. Now, why this special issue? Well, Friedrich von Hayek said it beautifully, that humiliating to human pride as it may be, we must recognize that the advance and even the preservation of civilization are dependent upon a maximum of opportunity for accidents to happen. And perhaps more contemporarily, Tom Linneberger, the CEO former CEO of Cummins, he would talk about that cultivating serendipity is an active approach to leadership in times of uncertainty. Now, Louis Pasteur, we all know his quip that luck favors the prepared mind only, and Seneca and Oprah Winfrey even would agree that luck is preparation meeting opportunity. Now, this is really a couple of the paradoxes that we find very interesting and that we would like to dive deeper into. That's really the underlying premise of this special issue, that chance plays a major role for individuals and organizations alike, and that many opportunities, insights, innovations, co-authorships even arise from this interaction between chance and serendipity. But our collective understanding of these themes is relatively limited. And so we often understand it as this kind of uncontrollable features, error that needs to be avoided rather than something that can be beneficially managed. And so there's a bit of a divergence between what we do in terms of research and then the frequency and consistency with which the practitioners would credit it for their success. Now, broadly, there's two streams that have been emerging, one on luck, one on serendipity, and I'll hand over to Christina to discuss the stream on luck.
Thank you, Christian. Luck, is another definition to think about is, according to the dictionary, Oxford Languages and Dictionary, success or failure apparently brought by chance rather than through one's own actions. So here, people have shown that there's high levels of performance have occurred through luck rather than ability. So if you look at extremely high performance, it's possible that those high performances are a result of luck rather than your capabilities. So as a result of that, then managers and organizations, strategists, scholars then tend to underestimate the power of luck. Okay, Christian?
Yes, thank you. And then the second stream, really this idea of making unexpected beneficial discoveries. That's really suggesting that while serendipity is triggered by chance and inherently unpredictable, there is some sort of human agency. And there's some work around the potential antecedents on the individual level, alertness, sagacity, framing, that allows individuals to identify weak cues especially and potentially do something with them. And then on the organizational level, around problem formulation, how narrow, how broad do we formulate questions for serendipity to emerge, what kind of interactions are required between employees to make it more or less likely that serendipity happens, and also how are these things being resourced. And so just to make sure we're on the same page, here's a couple of examples of serendipity. Imagine you're at the SMS conference this year in San Francisco. Hopefully we'll all see each other. And you have erratic hand movements like I do, and you unexpectedly spill a coffee over the person next to you. And you feel bad about it, but you feel there might be something there. And now you have a couple of different options. One option is that you just say, oh, I'm so sorry. You walk outside and you think, what could have happened had I spoken with that person? The other option is you start that conversation with the person, that person becomes your next co-author, or your next strategic partner or interview gatherer, or you name it. The point is that how we react to the unexpected is what defines a lot what comes next. Here an example. Anyone an example, an idea what this might be? If you put it on the chat, please. Any ideas what this might be here? Any ideas what this might be here? Chicken fryer, rice cook. Thank you, Daniel. Rice cook, potato washing machine. Yeah. So this is a sweet potato washing machine where a couple of years ago, and some of you were very close to it. So a couple of years ago, a big Chinese multinational company received calls from farmers, and the farmers told them, your crappy washing machine is always breaking down. Why is it breaking down? Well, we're trying to wash our potatoes in it, and it doesn't seem to work. Now, what would we usually do as a strategically led company would probably say, well, don't wash your potatoes in this, it's not made for this. Our plan is that you wash your potatoes, that you wash your clothes in this. They did exactly the opposite. They said, you know what? That's unexpected, but there's probably a lot of people in the world who have a similar problem. So why don't we build in a better dirt filter and make it a potato washing machine? And that's how the potato washing machine became one of their new products. A lot of examples we know, of course, innovations, Viagra, penicillin, you name it, but also micro serendipity, right? So you look for a hammer and you might find unexpectedly something different. So a lot in the day-to-day also that we might usually overlook or that we might not highlight, but it's not only those big breakthroughs, but it might also be small things. So in terms of the differentiation, then really that blind luck is about unexpected and a lack of agency, and serendipity as unexpectedness and agency. And I'm handing over to Violina to discuss the relevance of this.
Thank you, Christian. You probably don't need to be convinced that chance and serendipity is managerially relevant, since you're all on this call from all over the world, and we greatly appreciate that. But we wanted to highlight that we actually see this as a critical new area of development in a world of disruption, where actually the unpredictability of interactions increases, and therefore make it that much more imperative for strategists to understand how to navigate and actually leverage the unexpected in a productive way and organize to be able to leverage it. So despite this importance, it is actually surprising how our understanding of chance, luck, and serendipity in organizational contexts has remained underdeveloped. As such, the editorial team and SMJ more generally sees this as a great opportunity for future research. Next slide, please. So the goal of the special issue is to explore the role of chance, luck, and serendipity in essentially managing both organizationally and strategically by developing new theories and broadening and reorienting existing theories in empirical research. Given this scope, we welcome, it's a big tent, we welcome deductive, inductive, and abductive studies using quantitative and qualitative data, simulations, as well as strong conceptual papers. We are also open to different level of analysis, individuals, teams, firms, industries, and regions. But we also want to highlight that, the special issue comports with the guiding principles of SMJ, and the papers must be of interest of the audience, readership audience of SMJ. So what are some examples of possible areas of research? Next slide, please. So possible examples is looking at antecedents. I think Christian already shared a little bit about this in the context of serendipity. How do they come about? How they unfold? What is the relationship between chance, luck, and serendipity, and essentially core concepts of interest in strategies such as competitive advantage? We are particularly interested in understanding how chance and serendipity unfold in a variety of contexts, because context plays such an important role in presenting those occasions. So cultural context, geographical context, different work settings from virtual to in-person, top management teams and their varying manifestations in terms of diversity, novel technologies. Obviously, Gen AI is on everybody's mind. Types of companies, startups versus established companies, industry incumbents, and of course, issues around the perception and understanding of serendipity, including temporality, how, for example, something that is perceived as bad luck at one point could become good luck. So there are vast opportunities around context and perception. What is the dark side of luck? How does serendipity relate to other concepts essentially related to strategic change, strategy under uncertainty, and entrepreneurial strategy, such as sense-making, effectuation, paradox, absorptive capacity, and foresight? What is the role of bad luck and how do we manage it? What is the link between chance, luck, and serendipity and addressing global and local societal and environmental challenges? How could we leverage analogies from adjacent fields where luck and serendipity have been documented to play an important role, such as scientific discovery, the arts, and other such domains? What is their relevance for how we think about organizations? And how can context of such of high uncertainty, like the higher example, right, base of the pyramid or emerging markets, can inform our understanding of these concepts more broadly? So with this, I would like to pass it to Gino, who will say some more about publishing in SMJ.
Thank you. First of all, thanks to the panelists and all the participants. Here we want to spend a few words on the type of papers that we are really hoping to receive. The paper that we are hoping to receive is essentially the paper that typically people submit to SMJ. The emphasis should be on coherent theoretical logic, the use of appropriate methods for the kind of question that you are trying to address. A compelling contribution for SMJ typically combines strong theory and the emphasis on an interesting phenomenon. I mean, obviously, we are absolutely sure that chance, serendipity, and luck is a very interesting phenomenon to study, but obviously we hope to see a strong connection between the phenomenon and the theory and the methods, of course, that you use. And then try to whatever approach you use in addressing the question to show that what you are essentially doing, the findings, are also relevant for the broader conversation in strategy about the role of luck and foresight in explaining how firms behave and how that affects eventually firm performance. Next slide, please. Next slide, Christian. Okay, so in terms of methods, we are very open to different kinds of methods. This is the typical approach that contributors to SMJ follow, meaning that SMJ is a very open journal. All kinds of methods are more than welcome, from large sample studies to historical methods, whether that is a large sample study or a single case study or multi-case study. Simulations are obviously welcome as well. Theoretical papers and also mixed methods, papers that combine different methodologies. So we don't have any specific requirement in terms of methodological approaches that you can use in your paper. Any methodological approach is actually welcome. Next slide, please. Okay, so what are some of the most common errors that we would like not to see? The first one is what even the editors at SMJ call the grab bag approach to theory. One example of that would be the case in which you have multiple hypotheses. You have different theories for different hypotheses, instead of trying to integrate these theories and come up with mechanisms that might explain the hypothesized relationship. Another case is the case in which there are multiple theories that can actually explain why X leads to Y, but it's not clear whether these theories really talk about the same mechanisms, or maybe there are some differences in the main mechanisms that these theories emphasize. So this is clearly a problem in your theorizing and attempt to test that theory. Another common mistake is the disconnect between the theoretical claims and the empirics that could manifest itself through poor operationalizations of the key constructs or conflating causation with correlation. As many of you probably know, SMJ is not particular about causality, but in case you make causality claim, you want to make sure that those claims are grounded. Correlational studies are fine to the extent that you are very explicit about the kind of relationship that you are showing in the paper. Of course, again, endogeneity in some cases may be an important issue. So if that is indeed an issue in your study, you want to handle it properly. I mean, if you claim to have handled effectively endogeneity without having done that, obviously that is not working to your advantage. Another recurrent mistake is overclaiming. In other words, making contribution claims that are not really supported by the empirical evidence that you have produced or by the theory that you have developed. Yeah, we can go probably to the next slide. Okay, so this is what for now is the timeline. We are expecting to receive your submissions from October the 1st until November 1st. No exceptions made or extensions will be granted. So the submission window is the month from October 1st to November 1st. When you submit your manuscript, make sure that you conform to the editorial guidelines of SMJ in terms of formatting, a number of pages, the usual things. And you should use the usual SMJ submission system, Manuscript Central. And when you submit your paper, you will be prompted to indicate whether the paper is for a regular issue or a special issue, and you will scroll down and see what special issues are open for submissions. Obviously, you have to select our special issue, Chance, Luck, Serendipity, and Strategic Management. We will have a workshop for those submissions that receive an R&R, advisory submit, sometime in May, June 2026. Most likely will be in New York, but we will get back to the contributors when we have the specific date. That's it.
Excellent. And so we had a couple of, or quite a few questions actually submitted before this call, and now we'll kind of try to answer as many as possible in clusters. And then also please do put your questions in the chat. We will today answer the ones that were pre-submitted, but of course we'll keep those on top of our minds then as we continue forward. So please put your questions in the chat if you have additional questions as well. We have cluster one. Mm-hmm.
Me? Okay. So our submissions on serendipity in international entrepreneurship within the scope, yes. So long as it deepens our understanding of chance and serendipity and address an issue that is strategically relevant, yes, it will be relevant. Can we discuss success and failure stories of digital startups? Yes, as well. Would a paper on serendipity in manufacturing process fit the special issue themes? I think it needs to be a core issue that's relevant for strategy, right? It cannot be something that is just a peripheral issue. So to the extent that the manufacturing process illustrates deeply or demonstrates deeply the role of chance or serendipity, then it will be relevant. Can a paper on strategic project management be considered? I think so, yeah. Is research from a linguistic and philosophical perspective acceptable? I think we are open to different approaches, so long as, again, they address an issue that is strategically relevant and it helps us understand better the roles of chance and serendipity. Is a special issue open to studies on serendipity in nonprofit? Absolutely. Next. Are there ways to measure or indicate the levels of luck in corporate transformations? That will be a great question to address, a great topic to address for this special issue. Any preferences for luck as an independent variable or dependent variable? Is luck a moderator or a sufficient contribution? I think we don't have any preference whether you treat luck as independent variable or dependent variable. Maybe I think it's sufficient contribution, but we'll have to look at the entire paper to make the final call. Next. I think it's, yeah.
Yes. I'm going to take it from here for the next set of questions, which again are about the scope of the special issues in terms of methodology and paper types. One of the goals for this call was actually to make it clear that we are open to a broad range of contributions. And I spoke to this earlier in terms of being open to inductive, deductive, abductive theorizing, qualitative and quantitative methods, conceptual papers, simulations, and I think Gino reiterated this as being part of the broader positioning of SMJ. So we are exactly on that, operating from the same framework. So there are no particular methodological or theoretical perspectives that are encouraged or discouraged. The core principles here are rigor in theory development and empirical execution and substantive novel contribution. So then to the question of how does the editorial team view PhD student submissions or early scholars, we don't have a specific position on this. My general recommendation on this has always been assemble the team that allows you to best address the theory and empirics of the paper you intend to create. So I think this is, again, a general rule that applies to this special issue. Next question, next slide, please. So the next question is, again, around conceptual paper. Are we open to conceptual papers? The question is yes. Would a systematic literature review of a paper be accepted? Consistent with what we have said this far, the expectation for SMJ is that the paper makes a substantive novel contribution. So we see systematic literature review as a great point of departure from which to develop a novel substantive contributions. We also see this space, as we said at the beginning, as relatively under-theorized and underexplored. So we see a lot of opportunities for making such novel contributions. So with this, I'm going to pass it back to Christian.
Excellent, thank you so much. And I think it beautifully showed, Violina, what you said, and Christina and Gino, right? That in a way, what we need is some kind of connection to strategy, to strategic issues, to strategic themes, but you can use data from different areas. You can, by any means relate literatures from others to these kind of core strategic themes. So as long as it kind of fits into the buckets that Gino discussed, we're really open to that and would actually love to connect as many dots as we can in that regard. And that really relates also to, I saw a couple of questions in the chat that, we hope to stand on the shoulder of all these giants that have done related work, right? From emergence strategy to effectuation, uncertainty, sense making. There's a lot of different really interesting themes, strategy related topics that hopefully people will build on. And so we have events at the SMS conference at AUM that really kind of link it back to those. So we would very much welcome you to join those kind of conversations as well, to see how those different links are being established. And then, as Gino mentioned, we will have a workshop with those who have a revise and resubmit at New York University next year. We're very much looking forward to your submissions. We very much enjoyed your questions here. Thank you so very much. We will, of course, also kind of keep this conversation going. Please do send us emails with further questions. In this kind of short period of time, we try to address a lot of the kind of questions as clusters, but of course we can imagine there's a lot of other open questions that you might still have. So please do reach out anytime. For now, we're very much looking forward to your submissions. Thank you so very much for joining us today, and have a wonderful rest of the day. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.